On July 12, 2045, a man named Alexander decided to embark on a grand expedition to travel solo in the woods for a long hike. He did not care how long this trip would be. Alexander had his backpack with supplies, food, and his trusty favorite watch. This watch was an old school standard non-digital watch that has a built-in compass. Alexander was confident that he would not get lost in the woods nor care if he did. Alexander hiked like he never had before, taking no breaks, moving past all trails with ease, beholding each view with deep breaths as he passed by. He wondered to himself, where else can I go? Most trails I have been through before. Suddenly, something in the distance caught his attention. Alexander headed off in the direction where he hadn't been before. Up across the mountain terrain, a tree that looked completely normal was calling him. He did not know how, but the whispers of the wind were slowly drifting him closer and closer. A sensation unlike other that he had never felt before. He felt like in a trance state of mind. His subconscious was transformed with sounds of electricity and shock. He couldn't think nor compose words. Alexander walked closer to the mysterious tree. The tree reverberated with a strong magnetic-like pulse with an eerie unknown frequency not heard by human or animal. Inside the tree bark hovered three diamond-like shapes of oddly outworldishly energies, confined with interdimension portals. Alexander was a beacon. He is being slowly transferred into the realms of uncertainty and mystery. All he can do is watch what is transpiring in front of his own very eyes. Thrusted forward and gliding inside, the small yet dense portal entered into a large tunnel with blinding lights. Levitated above, paralyzed, waiting for this nightmare to soon come to an end. The force field gripping him away into a thin, lifeless matter of grain. This tunnel's noise creating a grinding sound, becoming louder and louder. In an instant, with a large shockwave, Alexander is gone. Alexander opens his eyes. He has full control of his body and is confused. Walking slowly, he sees a long stretch of what seems to be like a hall with no ending. He continues on uneasy, walking as if he was in a major car accident, his head hurting, body aching, legs sore. Losing his balance, he strives to the light with his barely open eyes. Coughing without any breath of air, he struggles for his very own existence. At last, the end of the hall, he exclaimed to himself, a solid door to what he thinks could be the exit of this laboratory. He does not hesitate to escape this self-called experiment he didn't sign up for. As trees lined up on either side adorning his way out, he notices that they are somewhat man-made. There is no tree stump, only what seems to be a graphite of some sort. He wonders what other preposterous things lies beyond that door. Unbelievable. Where am I? Is this the future? Alexander is dumbfounded. Could it be true that he has traveled to another dimension? The buildings were of not anything he had seen before, let alone the last thing he can remember is walking in front of a tree. Alexander continues on with a sense of deja vu. I feel like I have been here before. I just can't think where. Alexander follows a pathway leading up above the buildings. Up above the skyscrapers, a spacecraft of some sort is parked. He approaches closer, a voice over the intercom blast.
The Astro Starliner will be leaving in 5 minutes. Please aboard now.
Alexander has seen it all. First a portal, now this. He rushes over and hurried inside as if he was late to go to work. He steadily enters inside, watching every corner of this spacecraft glowing in bright neon colors. Alexander scans inside and sees absolutely nobody. Empty front to back, left to right. The Starline takes off, catching him off balance. Strange, not a single sound is heard for the amount of speed they are traveling. It almost feels like the craft is moving at the speed of light. All he can see is light speeding past like a flashlight flickering as if it has a dead battery. Motionless, Alexander stands in a stance, not losing his balance as the craft continues. Alexander exits the craft to an unknown building. Well, I guess I have no other choice. He walks into the building to find answers. He thinks to himself, maybe they can help me find a way home. I am sure this is all a big misunderstanding. Hello, hi there. I seem to be lost. Can you help me find my way back home? The robot at the desk does not respond back, only looks at him puzzled. Not only is Alexander confused, but he notices that he might be at a police station. This was no ordinary civilian. The robot responds as in a computer scanner noise, Morse code, or even a new language that has been created amongst the robots. Abruptly, loud sirens engulf the area. A robot that looks like the chief dashes down. Alexander moves away, but the robot lances out at him and tackles him to the floor. Get off of me! What are you doing? No response. Only an unknown language that he can't understand. The robot enforcer grabs and lifts Alexander up from the floor and proceeds to exit the premises with him detained. Outside, a spacecraft in the sky hovering above them. I am not a criminal. Alexander gets shoved into the craft. The police interceptor is loud, with the sounds of lasers, an engine that roars, and heavy smell of toxic fumes. Noises coming from everywhere, as if it were trying to suppress a robot being detained. Unlike them, he is not affected by these noises. Alexander watches as the skyline drifts away with incredible speed. The police drop off Alexander, alone. No robots or human in sight. Only a dome-shaped building ahead in the sky. Unaware of what lies ahead of him, Alexander is left with no choice but to again keep moving forward. Not only is he afraid, but Alexander has a sense of uncertainty. He will never return home again. Nobody understands him, nor do they think he is not from this world.
Greetings, Alexander. I have been waiting for your arrival.
A robot that has finally spoken, Alexander thought to himself.
Please follow me to your stationary pod.
The robot continued. Alexander wonders with a million questions, but he follows this strange robot to where he is leading him to. Although the robot is friendly, he is deep into his tablet-like folder, tapping and tapping away. As the robot taps, his vest lights up and flashes. Inside this pod was a desk and a computer. Alexander is with no words. He begins pressing buttons up, down, left, right, and buttons that beep. A startup noise illuminates the desk and sounds of discs spinning, a loud rush of air engulfing the room. Alexander thinks to himself, is this thing on? Suddenly, with all these new sounds, he hears a knock on the door. He recognizes this loud yet easy knock on the door. Alexander, your food is ready. Huh? What? Alexander wakes up from his desk, drool all over his mouth, eyes barely opening, neck sore, his forehead with a mark of his keyboard. It was only a dream. Alexander looks at the screen, with it paused on the video game. The Long Hike. The end.